Episode 59, Big Leap or Incremental Change. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Gayla Scrivener Show. I'm so very glad that you joined me today. Right now, I'm recording this podcast in the Santa Fe National Forest in New Mexico. I'm sitting next to my little dachshund, Oscar, and he's taking a nap here at the campground. Well, it's not actually a campground, it's primitive camping. We're off of a forest road, and it's so peaceful here. I'm surrounded by towering pine trees. This morning we had overcast, but the clouds have parted, and now we have beautiful sunshiny blue sky and puffy white clouds. That sunshine is feeding our solar, which I'm enjoying that. And actually, my alarm clock this morning, about 5:30, we heard a coyote. And it was close. I mean, very close. And it was calling to the rest of the pack. And it wasn't so unnerving. It was kind of enjoyable. But I'm glad we were in our rooftop tent and not on the ground. But not that the canvas would be great protection over big predators, but it was good. Good adventure. Now, if you were to tell me 10 years ago that I'd be camping in a rooftop tent on top of our 1998 Jeep Wrangler and living out of it for weeks at a time, while at the same time running and growing a business, well, I think you'd be crazy. But 10 years ago, this type of lifestyle just seemed like a pipe dream. And actually, the dream I don't even think was formed yet 10 years ago. My husband Robert and I live a work from anywhere lifestyle. We like to travel weeks at a time, being nomadic and experiencing wonderful journeys along the highways and byways of our beautiful countryside. We are not traveling as much as we'd like, but we are traveling more than most. We are always working to experience more. We want to experience more travel. We stretch ourselves to earn a living to help others with their businesses, but also creating a lifestyle we enjoy. It sparks our motivation and it sparks our life's enjoyment. I've been talking a lot about mindset over the last several episodes. I think that mindset has a lot to do with accomplishment and success. There are so many things that come up in life that presents resistance to achieving our goals. But I truly believe that the biggest resistance and the biggest obstacle that we have to overcome is ourselves. If we are in the right state of mind, we can overcome the little details of not knowing what we are doing or where we want to go or how we'll achieve that big goal we have in mind. Now, is a mindset shift a sudden change? Do we wake up one morning and bam, you've got a different outlook on life that can make anything possible? Or does it come incrementally? Well, maybe there's a little bit of both. With life pulling us in so many different directions, having the right mindset is a hard thing to do. Having that can-do attitude can be difficult. You've got so many obligations and obstacles in your way. Other priorities pop up, but it can be done. Whether you listen to podcasts to help move you forward, you work with a life coach, or you read books to help you learn whatever it is you want to learn to move you forward. For me personally, I like to read and I take in a lot of podcasts. I surround myself and follow people who have achieved what I'd like to achieve to learn more about their journey. That keeps my mind open to possibilities. Now, what lifestyle do you want to create for yourself? Is it the freedom to work at home and be there for your kids? That's awesome. The cost of childcare is out of this world, but it should be. After all, you're having someone else care for your child, for goodness sake. But when you do the calculations for paying for childcare and taking a traditional job, for most, it's a wash. Or worse, you're paying more in childcare than you're bringing home. So why work so hard having someone else look after your children? But maybe you want to look for a lifestyle to have more freedom and flexibility for caring for your aging parents. Or maybe you want to have a travel lifestyle like what Robert and I enjoy. Whatever lifestyle it is, maybe you want a big house or you want to live in a certain part of the country. Whatever lifestyle you want, I believe it can happen for you. And belief is the first step. Without belief that it could happen, then it doesn't move us forward. Now, I didn't always believe that it was possible to be sitting right here in the woods, working and enjoying nature at the same time. To be able to change our setting and enjoy what's around us instead of staying tied to a traditional office or work situation. That was like a pipe dream for me. I love our camping experiences. We find adventure everywhere we go. And we don't travel all the time. But someday, we'll be on our epic trip for a year or even 2 years. I don't know. We've got some big plans. We created Scrivener Solutions, a virtual assistant company, because we wanted to create a business where we could work from anywhere. You know, I didn't want to be a person who said, someday when I retire, I'll go to, I don't know, fill in the blank. You know, Robert and I hear that phrase all the time. People who are envious of our lifestyle don't see all the work that goes into it, but they see the leisure side of it. And they always say to us, well, someday when I retire, we want to travel more. Or someday when we retire, maybe we'll, get out and do more. Well, we didn't want that someday to pass us by. I didn't want to be the someday type of person. Robert and I wanted to be able to travel on our own terms and explore the beauty of this country of ours. We wanted to make that someday happen now, but it didn't happen overnight. And we still have big, lofty goals that we want to achieve in our travel lifestyle. As I sit here in the Santa Fe National Forest and I reflect, 10 years ago, I didn't even imagine the possibilities. My mindset was closed to all the possibilities that were right before me. But looking back, I recognize that little by little, the obstacles that were blocking my vision of all the possibilities, the obstacles that closed my mindset, little by little, the barriers came down. For 20 years, I was tied to an office. My mindset was that was the way you did work. I was geographically tied to going into that office day in and day out. Sure, I accrued vacation time and, we'd take vacations. I had this tinge, though, for something different. I wanted a different lifestyle. I pretty much discounted it because don't we always believe that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence? I thought, I was just getting stir crazy. I had to make a living. I had to go into the office. Besides, being on a career path of working in an office for all of my adult life, it was hard for me to even fathom that Robert and I could enjoy a work from anywhere lifestyle. I didn't even really know that it was possible. In reality, at the time, I don't think I really knew that that's what I wanted. What I did know was that I was tired of working in an industry that instead of seeing challenges and changes in that industry that spark and drove me, see, I love a challenge. I was instead becoming bitter and burnt out. I wanted to do something different, but my mind was saying that the only thing that I could do was the only thing that I've ever done. Go into the office. I needed to stay working at some sort of medical management job and earn at least what I was earning and maybe try to strive for another, a promotion. After all, I was the one in the family providing insurance. And so I felt stuck and I needed to continue to work. and just suck it up and enjoy what I was doing. But then I also thought, I've been in this career all of my adult life. Is there anything more? Is this what I'm going to do until I retire? But I don't want to be that person that says, okay, maybe someday when I retire, this is what I'll do. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But thank goodness, even though I was growing bitter and burnt out, thank goodness I had been working, and I was working with some wonderful people that kept me going. And I just suppressed my feelings about feeling trapped in a career that really, I didn't want that career anymore. I wanted something different. My mindset at the time was that I had no choice but to figure out ways to work my way up further into the career I chose so many years ago. And looking back on that, the very thought of that just burns me out. The desire to explore and travel just got stronger in me. My husband Robert and I would take little weekend trips every chance we'd get. We were certainly road warriors. We were living in Florida at the time, and we moved there from our home state of Missouri because I had a job offer. Now let me go back just a little bit. At the time of the job offer, I had been growing stir crazy, living in Missouri. But my daughter was in high school. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to stay here, stay with my job until Megan graduates high school. I couldn't do anything drastic like quit my job and just travel because I needed to support her. I was growing more and more stir crazy, like I said, with the job I was in. But when that job offer came to move to Florida, I thought it was a great opportunity. I thought it was a great opportunity for all of us because my daughter Megan at the time was struggling in high school with friends and situations, and she was longing to go to a different high school. And this was before Robert and I were married. I decided, okay, this move to Florida is what I need. I think I need it for Megan as well. But for my daughter, having a tough time in high school and wanting to move to a different school, her thoughts were another school within the town we lived in, not for Florida. And at the time when I told her and her dad about the move to Florida, her dad thought it was a good idea. But for Megan, she thought I was the worst mom in the whole wide world because I was taking her so far away. But it ended up to be a great, great experience because her last 2 years of high school were a wonderful experience, and her dad and I feel that was a fantastic move for her. But then Robert and I weren't married at the time, and when I had said, I want to take this leap to go to Florida, and he thought it was a good time for him to take a leap from living in Missouri, and he came with us. And it was, it turned out pretty okay. We got married down in Florida, and we were newbies to Florida, and usually Florida is a vacation destination. And we decided that since we were in the area, we should take advantage of visiting as much of the state as possible. We got into the mindset of we're going to take advantage of our surroundings and visit as many places as possible because who knows, we may never be here again. Weekend trips were sometimes difficult, though, because Robert, being a musician, usually had a show on a Friday or Saturday night. He also hosted a jam on most Sundays. And that puts a cramp in little travel trips when my schedule was Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. But you know what? We made it happen. And I bet we explored more of Florida than most Florida residents. And talking with our Florida friends, I can tell. We listed off several things that we had seen that they hadn't, and they had lived there for practically all their life. Now, at the time, one of my bosses for the company I was working for was all the time traveling. In fact, I don't think I met with him in person but a handful of times in the 5 years I'd worked for him. I encountered a lot of challenges in that job and felt like I was keeping things under control while he enjoyed his adventures. And at the time, I know I was a little frustrated with him because I wish he was around more when I needed his guidance with some of the details that he had put in place. But at the same time, it was just how things were, and I was okay with that. And I recognize that I was envious of his travel adventures. He was young, he was single, so why not? And looking back, by working with him, that may have opened up my mindset a little bit. I think it sparked the question inside of me of how can I do that? How can I travel like that, experience adventure like he does, and earn a living? Now, at the time, Robert and I began to follow people who lived in RVs full-time. RV living is usually thought for retired folks, at least full-timing it anyway. Retirees have their steady retirement income to cover, their day-to-day expenses, and they may pick up some work camp jobs at parks by being camp hosts or working around the campground to defer costs of campground or campsite fees. More and more, younger people are finding ways to enjoy a full-time RV lifestyle. There are many creative ways to earn a living out there and be a full-time RVer. Now, finding tech jobs or having a remote work situation is great for some to transition into RV living. So we were following folks like this. And then the situation came up that Megan was graduating from high school and moving back to Missouri to go to college. It would be just Robert and me. The company I was working for was closing. You see, my boss had decided to close that business down and move on to other opportunities. And I helped him with the transition. And part of what I needed to do was to travel to different medical offices in different parts of the country. The home office was based in Florida, but that was being downsized and shrunk to only me. There was no need to have a rental space for the office, and my office became my home. So that's where I worked. I could work from home. Okay, great. That was wonderful. I'm working from home now. But then traveling from Florida to different parts of the country just to come back to a rental house in Florida for the weekend seemed like an expense the company didn't need to bear. And Robert and I knew that we were never, ever wanting to be in Florida forever. It was just a temporary living destination for us. We were renting and we were never going to invest in property in Florida. And one day, when we were perusing people we follow who were full-time RVers, I mentioned to Robert, wouldn't it be cool if we were just to live in an RV full-time? Well, that sparked Robert, and he got to looking to buy our first RV. Well, actually, it's our only RV so far, but who knows what's going to be in the future. We moved toward buying our 38-foot Alpha Sia. We parked it at our rental house for a bit after we bought it, and we got things arranged for ourselves. Megan was finishing up her last days of high school and graduated before she moved back to Missouri. And then we took a leap. A massive garage sale at our Florida rental house, selling practically everything we had. Oh boy, now that was a leap, and we were cutting the ties. Our new home was to be on wheels. Our mindset, at least my mindset, I can't speak for Robert, but for my mindset, it was a move in the right direction. That for now, that our home is on wheels now, we are mobile. What are the possibilities in having the income to sustain a travel lifestyle? We all have to work. But how can it be possible to work and to have the freedom to have your office from practically anywhere? Not that I would travel all the time, but when we want to be nomadic for weeks or even months at a time, how could we earn a living and have that nomadic lifestyle at the same time? Mindset has a lot to do with starting the work from anywhere lifestyle. Mindset has a lot to do with anything if you want to achieve your goals. You have to keep your mind open to the possibilities and go for it. Selling everything and moving into a vehicle does a lot for a mindset change. It was like cutting a cord. That was just one step. that was one leap that Robert and I took. I was still working for the company that was closing, and instead of living in Florida, working from home, flying back and forth from location to location, we lived in our RV and traveled to the different locations. We would live in those locations for a few months at a time, and I'd work in the RV part of the time, and part of the time I'd go into the medical office. Then when faced with looking for another job or doing something else, I began to get the courage to go for creating our own business, our own virtual assistant business. I didn't really know exactly how it would all come together, but I just knew I wanted the freedom to be able to work from anywhere. Now, the practical side of things, you can't always be on the move to work from anywhere. There are times you have to stay put and put your nose to the grindstone, so to speak, and work. Then there are times to travel. When my time was done with the medical management company and we started Scrivener Solutions, we parked our RV near our family in Missouri and started building our network and to create the business that we love. We have learned new skills, have met wonderful people, and added wonderful clients. We are creating systems to improve ourselves and our business and are honored to be able to create jobs that allow others to have remote virtual assistant work so our employees can create a lifestyle they desire. I believe we are all on this earth to enjoy and experience life and to be happy. I believe that we all have wonderful talents within us to help others so that we can experience life and to be happy. Our mindset has a lot to do with opening up the possibilities of fulfilling our potential. For me, a mindset shift didn't happen with a snap of a finger. For the most part, it has been incremental changes. Things had to happen in stages for me. It was 8 years ago when Robert and I bought our RV and shortly afterwards moved into it full time. My mindset was beginning to open up to living and working from anywhere. But it wasn't until about 3 years ago when my mind opened up even more at the idea of living in a rooftop tent on top of our Jeep. Now that's downsizing for sure. I would never have thought that I could be sitting here, right here in the woods, at a primitive campsite, enjoying the peacefulness of the wilderness and working at the same time. Today is a work day, but it's so cool that I can have my office right here in the woods. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to share some of how to deal with some obstacles, like finding internet, how to make sure you're powered up, some scheduling issues, and even vehicle problems, and so on. Robert and I are on our 4-week nomadic workcation to New Mexico, Arizona, and Colorado, and there may be some other places there. We are taking almost a week off from our normal work schedule to be on vacation as we volunteer at Overland Expo West. The expo is the reason we schedule our nomadic adventure this time of year. We could simply drive out here really quickly and drive back home to Missouri, but what's the fun in that? Our ultimate goal is to be living and roaming the countryside for 6 months to a year, even 2 years at a time. So we've got to incrementally work our way up. And we're not there yet. Some foundation pieces must be set first, but we're moving in the right direction toward that goal. Now, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, mindset will either move us forward or hold us back in fulfilling our goals. I encourage you to build a business and a lifestyle however you imagine it. For you, what is your biggest leap to start with a mindset change? Did you have a change with a snap of a finger? Or are your changes like mine and in increments? Or are you stuck? And that's perfectly okay too, because there are times in my life that I'm just stuck too. Stuck in indecision of what I want to do. Whatever stage you're in, I'd love for you to hop over to Facebook and look up my page, Gayla Scrivener, Work From Anywhere. I'd love for you to like that page and comment on this podcast episode. Or, if you're into Instagram, find me at G Scrivener. That's G SCRIVENER. I've been spending most of my time there lately because it's been a fun place to hang out. So feel free to PM me there and let's connect. Thanks for joining me today. I'm so glad you are here. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe, whether your favorite player is iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play. I'd love for you to subscribe. Until next time, think of the possibilities and think big.